Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. As you all know, it's going to be Wesak soon. That's the full moon day of May, which is a very important day, the day that the Buddha was born, attained the full enlightenment, and also the day that he passed to Parinibbana, the full moon day of May. So in Myanmar, this year it is going to be celebrated on the 12th, but I think from the 11th, 12th, and 13th, these 3 days, we'll probably be able to see the full moon day of May. So it's a very auspicious occasion for all those who practice Buddha's teaching. So today I would like to dedicate this session in honor of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So before we start the session, we will pay homage to the Buddha as usual, and I would also like to recite together with you the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha before we start. Okay? All right, so let's start. Okay, so let's recite Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the sublime, the victorious, the totally self-enlightened one. So let's remember the qualities of the Buddha, and we will recite together, if you like, in Pali. Iti piso bhagawa araham samma sambuddho vichacharana sampanno sukhato lokavidu anutaro purisa dhamma sarati sattha deva manusanam buddho bhagavati. The Blessed One is a worthy one, a rightly self-awakened one, endowed with knowledge and conduct, one who has gone the good way, knower of the world, an excelled trainer of those who can be trained, teacher of devas and human beings, awakened, blessed. Then the quality of the quality of the Dhamma. Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Panayiko Pachatam Vaiditabo Vinyuhiti. The Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One, to be seen here and now without delay, inviting to come and see, leading to Nibbana, to be seen by the wise for themselves. Then we'll go to the quality of the Sangha. Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Nyayapatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Samichipatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. Yalitam Chatari Purisa Yugani Ata Purisa Pugala, Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, Ahunneyo Pahunneyo, Dakineyo Anjari Karaniyo, Anutaro punyakitam lokasati. Go back one slide so we can read the English. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced straightforwardly. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced methodically. The Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced masterfully. Namely, there are the 4 pairs of people, 8 individuals. This 4 pair and 8 individuals, actually it means the person who have attained the 4 stages of enlightenment. So Sotapanna, Magata person, and Phalata person who has attained Sotapanna, the 1st stage of enlightenment, Magga and Phala, the 2nd stage, 3rd stage, and 4th stage. So there are 4 pair. This is the community of the disciples of the Blessed One, worthy of offerings, worthy of hospitality, worthy of gifts, worthy of salutation. It is the unsurpassable field of merit for the world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So let's also take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. Tutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so it is a very beautiful occasion to talk about the factors of enlightenment. So today we are going to talk about the Saṁbojjhaṅgas, which are factors or cetasikas, elements that are helpful for the attainment of enlightenment. So here we continue with the contemplation of the Dhamma in this section. So we have completed the previous three, and then today we are going to look at the 7 factors of enlightenment. So in this section, it starts like all the other parts. It says, Puna chaparam bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupasi viharati satasu bojjhangesu. Katancha panna bhikkhave bhikkhu dhammesu dhammanupasi viharati satasu bojjhangesu. And again, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu dwells contemplating the Dhamma in the Dhammas in the 7 factors of enlightenment. And how, bhikkhus, does a bhikkhu dwell contemplating the Dhamma in the Dhammas in the 7 factors of enlightenment? So when we practice meditation, vipassana meditation, we have to deal with factors that are sometimes unfriendly, that are defilements or impediments or hindrances, right? Those are the ones that we have looked at in previous sections. But also we experience factors that are positive, that are beautiful, and that are constructive and helpful. So these are the 7 factors of enlightenment that we are going to look at today. They are positive factors that meditators will encounter during their practice, and those that are helpful for the attainment of enlightenment. Therefore, they are called bojjhangas. No? So first, let's take a look at this Pali word, Saṁbojjhaṅga. Now, this word can be divided into different parts. So Saṁbodhi usually means enlightenment, or the realization of truth. But in this context, it also means the thorough knowledge of the Dhammas, which means the object of meditation here, so mind and matter, no, nama and rupa, so meaning the thorough knowledge of nama and rupa. And anga means a limb or component or part, and here translated as factor. So the factors of enlightenment, Saṁbojjhaṅga, means components or parts of the thorough knowledge of mind and matter, which is the object of vipassana, right? And there is also another way of interpreting this word. Now, in this case, Saṁbodhi also means one who knows from the stage of discerning the rising and fading away of phenomena. That is one stage of vipassana wisdom, udyabhya jnana. So in that case, that means the one, Saṁbodhi means one who knows or one who is enlightened. And then anga here, in this case, it means cause. So Saṁbojjhaṅga, in this case, it means the causes of that person who knows, or in other words, the causes which are a group of mental factors that help one in achieving enlightenment, or that are instrumental in achieving enlightenment. So that's the meaning of Saṁbojjhaṅga. Now, there are 7 of these factors which are helpful for enlightenment. They're usually collectively called bojjhangas. But each of these factors is called a Saṁbojjhaṅga. So Sayadaw Silananda explained that the prefix sam is added maybe for the intensification of the root. But practically, bojjhanga or Saṁbojjhaṅga, they actually mean the same thing. Something that is helpful for achieving enlightenment. or the cause for achieving enlightenment. So these Saṁbojjhaṅga, these factors, they arise during Vipassana meditation. Okay, so let's see what is the first factor of enlightenment. Ida bhikkhave bhikkhu santam va ajatam sati Saṁbojjhaṅgam ati me ajatam sati Saṁbojjhaṅgoti pajanati. Asantam va ajatam sati Saṁbojjhaṅgam nati me ajatam sati Saṁbojjhaṅgoti pajanati. Here, bhikkhus, when the enlightenment factor of mindfulness is present in him or her, the bhikkhu or meditator knows there is the enlightenment factor of mindfulness in me. Or when the enlightenment factor of mindfulness is absent in him, he knows there is no enlightenment factor of mindfulness in me. So we see here the first factor of enlightenment is Sati Saṁbojjhaṅga, the enlightenment factor of mindfulness. So here, what is important again is to know, right? Because with the whole practice of the Four Foundation of Mindfulness is about knowing and understanding, right? So knowing is the first thing. So when it is present, we know. When it is absent, we also know. Now, what is Sati Saṁbojjhaṅga? Let's take a look. Sati, which is a factor, Sati Saṁbojjhaṅga. So for this Sati to be called Saṁbojjhaṅga, it must be a factor that leads to enlightenment, that is helpful for enlightenment. Because Sati is actually a universal, beautiful Cettasika. For those who have studied Abhidhamma, you may know that it is a universal, beautiful Cettasika, meaning that it will always arise with any kind of wholesome mind. So even when we are being generous, when we are doing any kind of wholesome deed, Sati is always there. But not all kind of Sati can be called Sati Saṁbojjhaṅga. But only those that arise during Vipassana can be called Saṁbojjhaṅga. When we are able to keep the mind on the meditative object during Vipassana, and those kind of Sati that is helpful for the achievement of enlightenment is called Sati Saṁbojjhaṅga. Okay, so let's take a look at the 4 devices of Sati. So it's usually translated as mindfulness or awareness, right? Now, the characteristic of Sati is not wobbling, not floating away from the object. That means that it is not hanging on the surface of the object, but instead it goes very deep into the object. And it is strong like a stone and not like a pumpkin flowing on water. So Sati, in order to be a mindfulness that is helpful for enlightenment, it must go deep into the object and be thoroughly aware of the object that we are observing during meditation. And its function is the absence of confusion or non-forgetfulness. So when we have mindfulness or awareness of the object, we are not confused about this object. We know it very well. And when we practice, we do not forget to be aware of the object that arises at the present moment. Therefore, it's called non-forgetfulness. So non-forgetfulness of the object and of non-wholesomeness. Now, its manifestation is as guardianship or like a gatekeeper, because the gatekeeper can keep out unwanted visitors. No? So in the same way, when we put Sati as a guard at our sixth sense door, it can keep out unwholesome mental states from arising in the mind. So Sati is very important because it is the first thing, it keeps, when we are mindful, when we know, then we are able to keep away those unwanted or unwholesome mental factors from arising in the mind. And its proximate cause is the Four Foundation of Mindfulness. So if we want to cultivate or develop mindfulness, we practice the Four Foundation of Mindfulness. That is what we are looking at in this Mahasatipatthana Sutta, right? So Sati is the key. Without Sati, we cannot progress in the development of Vipassana and wisdom. So Sati is very important. Okay, so let's go back to the sutta. So here, when meditators are able to keep their mind on the meditative object during Vipassana, then they know that there is this enlightenment factor of mindfulness. It is present it is present. Santam, it is present. And when they are not being able to keep the mind on the meditative object, and we forget and like that, so we know also that there is no enlightenment factor of mindfulness at that time. Or the sati is not strong enough to be called a sati Saṁbojjhaṅga. Okay, so the first step is to know whether it is present or absent, and then it continues. Yatacha anupanassa sati Saṁbojjhaṅgassa upado hoti tancha bhajanati. He also knows the reason why the arising of the non-arisen enlightenment factor of mindfulness comes to be. So we have to know why, if the mindfulness or sati is not present, we have to know the reason why it is not present and how it will arise. No? What is the reason for it to arise? Now, the cause for the arising of this mindfulness is actually yoniso manasikara, is wise reflection, as we have discussed before. The cause for the arising of hindrances or unwholesome state is unwise reflection, no? So ayoniso manasikara. So that's the opposite of it. For example, taking something impermanent to be permanent, taking something that is suffering or unsatisfactory to be happiness, to be satisfactory, taking non-self to be self, and so on. So wise reflection, yoniso manasikara, is the opposite to that. So that means seeing things according to its real nature, seeing things as anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So with wise reflection, that will be approximate cause and will be helpful for the arising of mindfulness, of sati Saṁbojjhaṅga, the enlightenment factor of mindfulness. Now, previous moments of mindfulness are also the causes of succeeding moments of mindfulness. So if we are mindful again and again, it strengthens mindfulness itself. It becomes stronger. It contributes to more and more continuous mindfulness. So wise reflection here also means reflecting or reminding oneself to be mindful. And then this moment of mindfulness will support the later on mindfulness to become stronger and stronger. One time when I was in Myanmar in the Seattle Indigenous Meditation Center, there was another practitioner, and he said to teacher, he said, Seattle, I think we are actually not practicing mindfulness here. I think we are practicing remindfulness. And Seattle said, well, yes, it's true in a way, because we have to remind ourselves to be mindful. So that reminding is also very important. Okay. So, and then it continues here. Yatacha upanassa sati Saṁbojjhaṅgassa bhavanaya paripuri hoti tancha bhajanati. He also knows the reason why the perfection through cultivation of the enlightenment factor of mindfulness comes to be. That means this mindfulness is brought to perfection by cultivating the mind. When meditators have attained the highest stage of enlightenment, arahathood, they will have brought this mindfulness to perfection. So meditators who have attained arahatship, they will know that by attaining arahatship, they have brought this mindfulness to perfection. So this is the meaning of this phrase here. So he knows the reason why the perfection through cultivation, that's the practice of enlightenment factor of mindfulness, comes to be. Okay, so in the text, it is mentioned that there are 4 things that will lead or that will help for the arising and cultivating for mindfulness. So let's look at that. If we want to practice, what we have to do. Now, the first thing that will help or that will lead to mindfulness is not just mindfulness, but mindfulness with clear comprehension. So it is said that we must try to be mindful on whatever we are doing. So mindful of our posture, of walking, going back and forth, wearing clothes, eating, falling asleep, waking up, etc., etc. No, and not only being mindful, but together with clear comprehension as well. Now, this clear comprehension, we have talked about it in the section on mindfulness with clear comprehension when we talked about the Kaya Nupassana, contemplation of the body, in the quite beginning of this course. Now, as a reminder, let's do a very quick revision of what is clear comprehension, because this is very important. So Saṁbojjhaṅga. Now, Saṁbojjhaṅga, this word can be divided into a few parts so we can understand it better. The prefix sam has many meanings. The subcommentary explains 3 meanings for this prefix here. Now, the first one is rightly or correctly, sam. When meditators try to see or observe the object of meditation, we must see them clearly and precisely and not confuse them with other things. When we are distinguishing mind from matter and matter from mind, we must see mind as separate from matter, matter as separate from mind. So mind is mind because of its own characteristic. Matter is matter. It has its own characteristic. So we don't mix them, and we are looking at them rightly and correctly. So that means not to be confused, the object with other things, right? Okay, the second meaning is entirely. Entirely, that means we have to see or understand in all aspects of this mental or physical phenomena, whatever we are observing. We must know their characteristic, function, and manifestation of that object. So that is seeing all the aspects of the object. In other words, the 4 devices, right? And the third meaning of sam is equally or evenly. So meditators must know how to evenly apply the mental faculties, the 5 indriyas, spiritual faculties. When these faculties are even and equal, then there will be concentration and wisdom arisen from this concentration. When the faculties are not in balance, then concentration is disturbed and scattered, and consequently, penetration into the nature of things cannot arise. Now, just to remind ourselves, the 5 spiritual faculties, 5 indriyas, they are sati, mindfulness, viriya, effort, samadhi, concentration or stability of mind, saddha, faith or confidence, and panya, wisdom. Right? So these 5 must be in balance. Okay, so that's the meaning of sam. Then let's look at the other part, pa. This pa means clearly. And then jhana means knowing or understanding. So sampajana, clear comprehension, means seeing and knowing precisely, clearly in its entirety by evenly applying all spiritual faculties. So that's the meaning of sampajana, clear comprehension. So when we are being mindful, we have to be mindful together with understanding. So awareness alone is not enough. We need also wisdom. We need understanding. We need this clear comprehension to see things precisely, clearly, and entirely, using all the 5 spiritual faculties. So there are 4 kinds of clear comprehension, as we have seen previously, but just as a reminder, we have the first one, sattaka sampajanya, clear comprehension of what is of benefit. So whatever we do, we need to know whether by doing this thing, it is of benefit for oneself and others or not. And then the clear comprehension of what is suitable, sappaya sampajanya. Even something is beneficial, but maybe it is not the right time, so we need to know whether it is suitable or not also. And then clear comprehension of meditator's domain, gochara sampajanya, and this is very important. That means staying in the domain of meditators, which is the 4 foundation of mindfulness. So being with the 4 foundation of mindfulness all the time. And then the clear comprehension of non-delusion, asamoha sampajanya. That means not confusing the different meditation object, because that's the first step, the first foundation of wisdom for vipassana, right? Knowing mind and matter clearly, right? Knowing seeing them as distinct from each other. And when we are able to do that, then we are said to be applying the clear comprehension of non-delusion. But this clear comprehension of non-delusion will arise when we thoroughly apply the clear comprehension of the domain. So Gochara Sampajanya, if we keep practicing the four foundation of mindfulness correctly, then we will be able to see correctly without delusion. So that is the clear comprehension of non-delusion. It will arise when the practice has been brought to maturity, right? Okay, so this is the four kinds of clear comprehension. And this is to be applied in our formal practice as well as our daily life to see whatever we do, whether it's beneficial, whether it is suitable, and we keep our mind in the four foundation of mindfulness practicing, and then sometime then this clear comprehension of non-delusion will arise. We will know that there is only mind and matter working, and there is no me, no mind, no self, no individual there. Okay, so that's the first thing that leads to the cultivating of the enlightenment factor of mindfulness, right? First thing. Now, the second thing, it is said that we need to avoid people with confused mind. That means by avoiding people whose mind are confused, we can cultivate more mindfulness, because if we associate with people who are confused about the truth, about the Dhamma, we may also get confused ourselves. Well, now this confused does not mean about daily matters, surely, where it's about the truth, is about the Dhamma, about the ultimate realities, right? Okay, then the third thing is associating with people who have mindfulness. So if we have company or friends that are mindful, then we tend to become mindful too. Now, in the Chinese painting and calligraphy, traditionally people use red ink and black ink to draw, to paint. So there is an idiom that says, it means near vermilion, one becomes red. Near ink, one becomes black. So it wants to say that when we associate with people, then we become like those kind of people. So just as what we are looking at here, if we associate with people whose mind are confused, then we may also become confused or lost mindfulness. But when we associate with people who are mindful, then we also tend to become more mindful. So that are the other two advised. And then the fourth thing that can lead to the arising and the cultivating of mindfulness is inclination towards mindfulness. So that means to have our mind always inclined towards being mindful, so that we cultivate the tendency towards mindfulness and be prepared, and prepare ourselves also for the clear comprehension. So this is very important. Whatever we do, even it is about meditation or not, when we want to do something, if we put our mind to that, we incline the mind to that, then the mind will be more, it will tend to remember, and it will arise more and more. No, so this inclination towards mindfulness is important. We have to have this idea or have this wish, and we want to bring our mind there, inclined towards the mindfulness. Okay, so in whatever posture, whatever we're doing, we try to be mindful. We have the intention to be mindful. We set the mind to cultivate continuous mindfulness. And so this is the factor or element, which is called the enlightenment factor of mindfulness, sati Saṁbojjhaṅga, which is going to be very helpful. Okay, so that's the first factor of enlightenment. So up to here, all good? Any question about this? No? Okay, so let's go to the second factor of enlightenment. Now here it says, Santamva ajatam Dhamma vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅgam. Ati me ajatam Dhamma vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅgoti pajanati. Asantamva ajatam Dhamma vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅgam. Nati me ajatam Dhamma vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅgoti pajanati. When the enlightenment factor of investigation of the Dhammas is present in him, he knows there is the factor, and there is the enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhammas in me. Or when the When the enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhammas is absent in him, he knows there is no enlightenment factor of investigation of Dhammas in me. So here the second factor of enlightenment is Dhamma Vichaya, the enlightenment factor of investigation of the Dhamma. And again, we have to know whether it is present or whether it is absent. Okay, so let's take a look at Dhamma Vichaya. Now, this investigation or understanding of the Dhamma during Vipassana meditation is called Dhamma Vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅga. It must be something that is helpful for Vipassana, helpful for the cultivation of wisdom. No? So let's take a look at this Pali word to understand it a bit more. Dhamma Vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅga. Now, Dhamma here, what does it mean? What is meant by this Dhamma here? It refers actually to the object of Vipassana. And what is the object of Vipassana? That is the 5 aggregates of clinging, right? We saw it in the previous session. So that is the mundane chittas, chetasikas, and rupa. So this Dhamma here means exactly what we have to investigate. We have to investigate about the object of meditation, the object of Vipassana, so mind and matter. And then Vichaya means investigation. And here it also means not just investigating, but also the understanding of the 5 aggregates of clinging. It is the insight into mental and material phenomena as they really are. That is the investigation, that is the understanding here. Now, for it to be a Saṁbojjhaṅga, for it to be a factor of enlightenment, it must be something that is accompanying Vipassana, that is helpful for Vipassana. And in this case, what is that? What is the understanding of the object? That is actually the Panya Cetasika itself, wisdom, mental factor, right? Okay, so Dhamma Vichaya is actually a kind of wisdom. So when one practices Vipassana and see or discern the object clearly, this is mind and this is matter, and have no confusion about these ultimate realities, then we will understand that there are only mind and matter arising and disappearing, arising and disappearing. And we see very clearly that this is the arising and this is the disappearing. And then we progress in the different stages of Vipassana knowledge. And then we will come to understand that there is actually no self, no individual there. Then when we see that, when we see it this way, then it is said that we have the Dhamma Vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅga, which is the factor of enlightenment of the investigation of the Dhammas, right? So it is actually wisdom itself. Now, Dhamma Vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅga is synonym with wisdom. And in the Noble Eightfold Path, it is also called Samadhi, right view, which is also wisdom. And here in the 7 factors of enlightenment, it is called the investigation of the Dhamma. But it means the same thing. It means the correct understanding or correct discerning of Nama and Rupa, mind and matter. Okay, so since Dhamma Vichaya is Panya, is wisdom itself, let's take a look at the 4 devices of Panya. Now, the characteristic of wisdom is penetrating things according to their intrinsic nature. So sometimes it is also described as, the characteristic is also described as a sure penetration. Just like when a sharp archer shoots, he or she will always hit the target. So in the same way, Panya always hit the target. When there is Panya or wisdom or amoha, synonym words, when we look at the object, we will penetrate and understand the true nature of it. It's just like hitting the target, right? We will not miss the true nature of it, and we will understand that. So that's the characteristic of wisdom. And then its function is to illuminate the objective field like a lamp. So Panya is compared to a lamp or very bright light. And moha, delusion, is usually compared to darkness. So when there is no light in the room, we cannot see anything. There is darkness, there is delusion. But if there is light and the room is illuminated, then we can see things clearly. So wisdom is like the light that show the things clearly. So in the same way, when we investigate the Dhamma, which is actually wisdom with panya, with understanding, we can see the object of meditation, which is mind and matter, very clearly. Now, there was a yogi, a practitioner, who asked Sayadaw Tejaniya. She said, Sayadaw, I know craving and anger is not good. I have seen it, I have observed it, but I still crave and I still get angry. Why? Then Sayadaw said, have you seen this little key holder torch? Have you? This little one that you pressed and it has a little light there. So we know that something is not good, but we cannot give it up because the wisdom that we have now is like this light, this little torch here. It is so weak. So we think that we see, but this light is not strong enough to dispel darkness. So therefore, we need to continue to build wisdom until it becomes a very powerful spotlight or even the sunlight. No, so until then darkness will have no more chance. So now that we said that we have seen that we have built a little bit of wisdom about this craving or about this anger, about this delusion, but because wisdom is not strong enough, these defilements keep coming back. It keeps arising again and again. But then if we cultivate again and again, we look at it again and again, then one day when the wisdom is strong enough, then we will be able to totally eradicate this defilement. So we are not there yet. So what Sayadaw wants to say is we have to keep and continue to practice because wisdom is not strong enough. Therefore, we cannot give up these defilements yet. Sayadaw also reminds us that we need to be persistent also. Cultivating wisdom is like kindling a campfire. We need to take care of it and continue to feed it until it becomes strong enough. If we are like lighting the fire, but if we don't keep it up, then it will die out, right? So wisdom is in the same way. If we don't keep up the wisdom, what we once understood, it can also fade away. We can forget, it will disappear. So we need to tend to the fire of wisdom, take care of it and increase it until it becomes a big campfire, very strong. Then it will take a little bit less work, less effort. But until then, we have to continue to take care of it, to blow it and put more wood and all this. No, so when it becomes strong, it will start burning on its own and will require much less personal effort. But still, until all defilements are burned up, we still have work to do. So we have to keep up and continue building this wisdom. And we cannot just think that, oh, we know already, and then we just relax, no? And in this way, then we will tend to forget. All right, so let's go back to the manifestation. Now, wisdom is manifested as non-bewilderment. When we understand something clearly, then when we understand the true nature of things, we are very sure about that. So we are not deluded and we are not doubting about it. So there is no bewilderment. Panya here is compared to a guide who can take us through the forest without getting lost. So panya is like that. And its proximate cause here is also wise attention, yoniso manasikara. Okay, so again, to develop this enlightenment factor of investigation of the Dhamma Vichaya, which is Panya itself, wisdom itself, there are also some advice that the teachers, they give. What can we do to help develop this Dhamma Vichaya? The first thing is inquiring about the Dhamma. Not only about the Dhamma, about also it is included, inquiring about the teachings of the Buddha, like the 5 aggregates, 12 sense bases, the 4 elements, the 4 noble truths, about the ultimate reality. So by inquiring, we get answers, and then we will know more about these objects of meditation. They are actually the objects that we have to observe now. So we know more about them, then we can develop knowledge about them. Then when we actually observe them, then we will be more able to see them more clearly because the mind already have the information there. So that's the first thing. And the second thing that will lead to the arising of Dhamma is purification of the bases. Now, this is very interesting and very important. The purification of the bases, it means internal and external cleanliness. The Buddha is actually very practical. So he advised that we need to keep clean. Internal cleanliness refer to the body, to our bodies. And when the body is not clean, the mind cannot be calm and clear. It's like feels dirty, no? So when the mind is not calm and clear, then the investigation of Dhamma, it's not very likely that it can arise. So therefore, we have to keep internal cleanliness, meaning the body needs to be cleaned in order for the support for the development of wisdom. And external cleanliness, that means keeping the house, the room, our clothes and everything, keeping those things clean. Because when those things are dirty, then we also do not feel comfortable and not feel calm. And then we will not have the concentration for the practice. So therefore, it is advised that we should keep inside and outside clean. Now, this is actually very true, not only for meditation, but also for our daily life. Take a look at this. In which room do you feel that you will be more calm and peaceful? Very obvious, right? Very obvious. So external cleanliness or tidiness, it actually directly affects our mind. If outside is messy, inside is also messy. So messiness is not conducive for the attainment of concentration and wisdom. So therefore, this advice. But sometimes it's not only about tidiness. Well, this is personal also. I don't know how you feel, but sometimes if the room has a lot of items, the mind also get very busy, right? So because even we are not aware of it, we don't know, but the mind is recognizing every single thing that it is seeing. You know, the color, the books, the painting, the plant, the drawing, the cushion, then the pattern on the carpet and everything. No, so the mind is very busy if the room is very busy. So if the room is more simple, then it is more conducive for a calmer mind. So that's why maybe you see usually in the meditation hall, then it is usually simple and clear of cluster, no? And in the Patana itself, it says, Senasanampi Upanisaya Pachayena Pachayo. Our living place is a strong supportive condition. So this is also very important. Okay, so that's the second thing, keeping internal and external cleanliness. That will help for the development of wisdom and concentration. And the third thing is balancing the faculties, the indriyas. Now, meditators can also develop more Dhammavicaya or Panya by keeping these 5 indriyas, these 5 mental faculties in balance during practice. Now, what are these 5? We mentioned it a little while ago. It is Saddha, confident or faith, Viriya, energy or effort, and we have Sati, mindfulness, and we have Panya, understanding, and Samadhi, concentration. So they are to be kept in balance. Now, faith, especially, there are 2 pairs here. Faith or confidence and understanding or wisdom, they should be kept in balance. And Samadhi and Viriya, they should be kept in balance. So they are like in this chariot. So these 2 horses, they should be in balance, and these 2 horses should be in balance. And it is said that Sati is the charioteer. So he or she knows whether they are in balance or not. So for example, here, Saddha, if there are too much confidence but too little understanding, then it can easily become blind faith, right? But if there are too much understanding and too little faith or too little confidence, then people also tend to become crafty. So it is said that it will become like a disease that is caused by medicine and which is incurable. So the confidence and understanding, they should be kept in balance. Now, for energy or effort and samadhi, this pair should also be kept in balance, because if the meditators concentrate too much samadhi, then it will become the mind become very, very peaceful, and we tend to become sleepy. And at that time, we need to wake the mind up by putting in more effort or more energy. And if there are too much energy, on the other hand, then the mind will become restless. So we need to balance the mind with some concentration and some calmness also. So these two has to be in balance. But for mindfulness, sati itself, it is the one that actually knows whether the faculties are in balance or not. So it is always needed. And then the more the better. So it is said that cannot be any excess of mindfulness. So it needs to be present all the time. The more the better. Okay, so by keeping these 5 faculties in balance, this is the third way that leads to the arising of Dhamma Vichaya, or investigation of the Dhamma, or in other words, wisdom. Okay, then let's look at another advice, another way. And this one is avoiding ignorant people. Now, here we do not want to mean that these people is ignorant, not like that. But if we want to develop wisdom, we need to avoid people who do not have any understanding, or who are not interested about the ultimate realities, or about the 5 aggregates, about the truth, right? So those who are not interested and who are only focused on satisfying the sense desire, if we are always accompanied by this type of people, then we tend to do what they do also, right? So therefore, if we want to cultivate, we need to, in the 5th advice, associate with wise people, associate with people who are well informed with respect to the truth of nature, to the Dhamma, to the aggregates, to the ultimate realities, and so on. And this will help us to develop the factor of enlightenment, of Dhamma Vichaya, the investigation of the Dhamma. Okay, and the 6th one is reflecting profoundly. Now, first, we inquire about the teaching of the Buddha, about the ultimate realities, and then we reflect on them profoundly. That means we call to mind again and again what we have learned and what we have studied. And by contemplating and reflecting deeply on these teachings, then we will be able to develop the investigation of the Dhamma, which is wisdom. And then the 7th, which is the last one, is inclination towards investigation. So that is also important, as we said a little earlier. We should always incline the mind towards what we want. So if we incline the mind towards gaining knowledge, gaining wisdom, in whatever we are doing, whether we are standing, sitting, lying down, or working, or cooking, whatever, if we incline the mind to that direction, then our mind is tuned towards the investigation and towards knowledge. So there are more chance for knowledge to arise when we are observing, or when we are actually practicing. Okay, so that those are the 7 ways that are helpful, that will lead to the arising of Dhamma Vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅga. Okay, then similar to the cause for the arising of the enlightenment factors of mindfulness, here again the cause for arising of Dhamma Vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅga is wise reflection, yoniso manasikara. So after understanding or observing whether Dhamma Vichaya Saṁbojjhaṅga is present or not, then we also have to know the reason of the arising of the non-arisen enlightenment factor of investigation of the Dhamma, and how it becomes perfect. So again, it is this wisdom is brought to perfection when one attained arahantship. When one attained the highest stage of enlightenment, then that wisdom element is brought to perfection at that time. And for this part, actually, the reason why the arising of those other factors, the coming factors, and also the perfection, we should understand it in the same way. So yoniso manasikara, wise attention for is the cause for the arising of the non-arisen enlightenment factor, and bringing it to perfection is through the attainment of arahantship. Okay, up to here, all good? All right. Okay, so let's go to the third factor of enlightenment. So here it is, Viriya Saṁbojjhaṅga. Okay, so I will not read everything now. So let's just go to the because the Pali here actually is the same. It's just a factor that is different. So Viriya Saṁbojjhaṅga here, enlightenment factor of energy or effort. So we have to know whether it is present or whether it is absent. And then we have to know the reason why the arising of this factor, the arising of the non-arisen enlightenment factor, what is it? And also the reason why it comes to perfection. Okay, so Viriya Saṁbojjhaṅga, energy or effort, which is a factor of enlightenment. So not any kind of effort can be called a Saṁbojjhaṅga, because Viriya, this Cetasika itself, it can also associate with unwholesome mind state, right? When we do some unwholesome thing, bad thing, it also requires energy, right? It also needs energy effort to do bad thing. So those cannot be called, of course, a factor of enlightenment. So it must be effort and energy that is associated with Vipassana meditation for it to be called a factor of enlightenment. Okay, so now this energy or effort that is present during Vipassana practice, it must be a balanced effort, neither too much nor too little, in order for it to be a factor of enlightenment. So when we keep the mind on an object, we always need some kind of energy. Without energy, the mind cannot stay with the object, right? So mental effort or energy, a balanced one, is always necessary. But too much effort will also lead to restlessness, and too little effort will lead to sleepiness. So we also need to find out what is the right balance, right balance of energy. Okay, so let's take a look at the 4 devices of Viriya, energy or effort. Its characteristic is supporting or driving towards something. So supporting what we are doing and driving us towards our goal, right? And the function is to support its associated state. So energy gives energy to the whole mind. So all the other factors, energy gives viriya, gives energy to sati, gives energy to wisdom, gives energy to all other factors that arise together with it. So it is very important because it supports all the other associated mental factors that arise together. And then its manifestation is the non-sinking or non-collapsing. So when meditators put forth effort, they do not sink or collapse in the meditation, right? So it is said in the commentaries that when rightly initiated, effort should be regarded as the root of all attainments. No attainment can be reached without making an effort or using energy. So this viriya is also very important. And its proximate cause here is a sense of urgency or a ground for arousing energy. So when we feel the sense of urgency, that means like sometimes we see that days and every day is passing so quickly, days and weeks and months and year. We're already in May, right? How quickly. It was just the beginning of 2025. It was what happened is already May, right? So time passes very fast and it does not wait for anyone. And if we keep saying that, okay, I will practice later, and time just passed, no? But when we see that death can happen at any time, so when we feel this sense of urgency, then it will be approximate cost for energy to arise. No, they will say, there's no time to waste. We need to make effort right now. We need to practice now. I can die tomorrow. Yeah, not a joke because it's real, right? We usually do not believe that we're going to die tomorrow. Who think you will die tomorrow? Anyone? I don't think so, right? But it can happen. It can happen. But we do not think that it can happen to anyone else, but not to me, of course. Right? Anyone can die tomorrow, but not me. No, but it can. Well, I hope it doesn't, but it can happen. So this sense of urgency, it's a cost for the energy to arise. And then what is a ground for arousing energy? When sometimes some meditators, they are very dedicated, then they may think that, oh, tomorrow I have something to do. So if I'm busy tomorrow, then I won't be able to practice. So I should practice today. So thinking that way is like a ground for arousing energy to practice now. Or the meditator may think that, oh, I was busy yesterday, so I couldn't practice yesterday. So now that I have finished doing what I needed to do, then I should practice now. So this is the kind of ground for arousing energy. Okay, so again, in the text, there are 11 practices that leads to the arising of energy. So let's take a look at what are they, what can be helpful. Now, the first one is the reflection on woeful states, abhaya. According to the teachings of the Buddha, there are 31 realms of existence, realm or planes of existence. So there are 4 woeful states where beings suffered a lot. And then the human plane is in the fifth plane, the 5th realm. And then above us, there are 6 Deva planes and 16 fine material planes and 4 non-material planes. Now, beings are born into these different realms according to their own actions. Beings are born into the woeful state because of the result of unwholesome actions, unwholesome karma. And beings are born into the human or deva realms because of wholesome karma, such as being generous, being kind, keeping sila, etc. No? And beings are born into the fine material or non-material realm through the attainment of jhana by practicing samatha meditation. So, where being are born depends on our own action. Where are we going to be born to? So from human, that which ticket, where are we going? It depends on our own action. So reflecting that there is a chance that we may be reborn to the woeful state. If I do not put effort or energy in practicing, we do not know what's going to happen. We do not know what we have done in previous life. So there is a chance if we have not attained at least the first stage of enlightenment yet, the door to woeful state are not closed. So I may be reborn to the woeful state and will suffer a lot. So reflecting on this, then we may arouse energy to make effort. So this is the first advice. And then the second one is reflecting on the benefits of putting forth effort or energy. Then we can reflect that by putting forth more energy and making more effort, many meditators have attained arahantship. And arahantship is not something that can be attained by meditators who are slothful or indolent. So I must make effort. So reflecting on the benefit of it will also help to arouse energy. And the third thing is to reflect on the path itself. That means the path of meditation, of vipassana. No? So reflecting that this path and this road has been trodden by the Buddha, by the Pacceka Buddhas, by the great disciples, by all the arahants who were all very energetic. So when we are going along this path, it is not fit for us to be lazy. So we should also put forth energy. So by reflecting this way, this will also be helpful. And then the fourth one is honoring the alms. Now, this is meant for bhikkhus who are supported by lay people, but it also applies to yogis who are on retreat, who are taken care of by volunteers. That we should be conscious of this support that people are offering, right? So lay people offer food and other requisites to bhikkhus and to yogis with the expectation that this will be a support for their energetic practice. No? So only by practicing meditation energetically, by putting in effort, we can honor the support that we are getting. So also the Buddha allowed bhikkhus to receive alms and other requisites, not for leading a lazy life, but also for practicing meditation and for cultivation of virtue to attain arahantship. So we should reflect in this way in order, and also in order to honor this almsgiving, this custom, then we should put in effort. So by thinking this way, it will also help us arouse energy. And the fifth one is reflecting on the heritage. Here, heritage means the heritage of the Buddha. Now, the Buddha has left us with the Dhamma, the great treasure that shows us the way out of samsara, out of suffering. So we should reflect that the enlightenment are not attained by the slothful or the lazy. And an indolent person is like children disowned by their parents. There is no inheritance for them when their parents passed away. So too, it is with the treasure of the Dhamma. Only where an energetic follower or practitioner of the Dhamma will gain benefit from the Dhamma, from the heritage of the Buddha. So this is another kind of reflection that will help arouse energy. And the sixth one is reflecting on the master himself. So by recalling the great qualities of the Buddha and also the great events and the discourses and the teachings that the Buddha has given, then we need to remind ourselves that it is not it does not befit anyone to be lazy after having heard such precious teaching from such a great teacher. So in this way, we remind ourselves to arouse effort and energy for the practice. And the seventh point is reflecting on the race. Now here race means the birth as the bhikkhu. These are for the monastics, because by becoming a monk or a nun, the person gets a new birth as a spiritual child of the Buddha. So the monastics, they remind themselves that it is not proper for the child of the Buddha to be lazy. So in this way, they remind themselves to arouse energy or vidya, effort to practice. And the eighth is reflecting on the other followers of the Dhamma. That means meditators remember or reflect that, for example, Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Moggallana, Venerable Ananda, Venerable Bhikkhuni Khema, Venerable Bhikkhuni Upalawana, and other great disciples, they have all penetrated the supramundane Dhamma. They have all got enlightened, and they have all put in a lot of effort to do so. So I'm also following this path of the Dhamma. Am I following their way? Am I working like they did? So reflecting on this way, this will also help us to arouse energy. Okay, then the ninth one is avoiding lazy people. So again, by us avoiding associating with people who are lazy and indolent, we become energetic. And also by associating with energetic people who put forth energy or effort to acquire wholesome karma, to do wholesome deeds, and also who practice. So good friends and company are very important too. And then the last one is inclining towards energy. So just like all the other ones, when we incline the mind, when we direct the mind to towards putting forth energy in every posture, in whatever we are doing, that will lead to more energy. So these are the 11th practice that lead to the arising of energy. Okay, up till here, all good? Yes? Okay, yes, Zenan has a question here. Let me take a look. In the 5 spiritual faculties, if it is not balanced, which mental factor does the balance of all? Is it wisdom or samadhi of stability? So it depends which one are not balanced. So sati is the one that knows what is not balanced. No, for example, sati observe and realize that, oh, now the mind is putting in too much energy, is getting restless. Then in that case, what balance it is will be samadhi, will be stability of mind, concentration, to calm the mind down because it is restless. So if the sati notice that the mind is too calm now, very concentrated, and is getting sleepy, then we should balance it with effort, with viriya, to weaken the mind, right? So it depends what is not balanced. If there is too much critical thinking or analyzing, and there is lack of confidence, then we should balance it with confidence. If there is too much confidence or too much trust, but without any understanding, then it should be balanced by wisdom, by understanding. So it depends what is lack, no? So yeah, so the 5 of them balance each other, no? I mean, the 4 of them, they have to balance each other, and Sati knows. Sati always there looking to see what is necessary. Is that okay, Tanan?
Yeah, a little bit question still have, because the sati can only know, it do not have the skill to balance, as you mentioned, when too much effort, then we may need some concentration or samadhi. But this kind of balance, it balance automatically, or they need wisdom to do the skill of balance, or how actually
Yeah, obviously, wisdom will be necessary, because without knowledge, without understanding, we cannot do that. No, so sati only knows, but then
yeah.
wisdom will know what to do, right? And then so we, let's say, put more energy, or bring in more concentration, or like that. So they all work together.
Okay. Yeah.
Why don't we take a break first? And so after 5 minutes coming back, we will look at Judy's question, and then we will continue with the other factors. Okay? Since there are 2 questions in the chat box, we will answer the questions first, and then we will go on to continue with the factors of enlightenment. Okay? About Judy's question and Dui's question, both of these questions require a little bit of Abhidhamma knowledge. So, so I will reply. And if there is something that you do not understand, then then we can talk a little bit more about it. Okay. Now, for the first question, Judy's question, is sati mindfulness or awareness or knows? And how about chitta? Isn't chitta knows? Okay. Now, do you remember that? Have you studied Abhidhamma a little bit? A little bit. Okay, so you know there is chitta, there is chittasika. Yes? Okay, so chitta, the function of chitta is a bare cognition. Okay, the knowing of chitta is only a bare cognition. It only takes the object. It does not do more than that. Okay, so chitta can be wholesome, can be unwholesome, can be resultant, can be many types, no? So unwholesome chitta also know the object, also take the object, right? Yeah. So that knowing, that taking the object, we obviously cannot call it sati, cannot call it mindfulness. It is unwholesome. Yeah. So sati, this mindfulness, this knowing is not a chitta. It is a cettasika that arise together with wholesome chittas. So when a wholesome chitta arises and then it takes the object with awareness, with sati, then that is that kind of awareness, that kind of mindfulness, that kind of sati that we want to cultivate. Because chitta arises all the time in our mind. If all of the chitta knows are aware, are mindful, then we don't have to practice, which is it is already practicing already, right? So that is not sati. So that sati we need to cultivate. We need to practice for it to arise. It is wholesome chittasika that arise together with beautiful mind state only. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I have a bit of an understanding of Abhidhamma, and I also understand mindfulness or sati is actually a beautiful mental factors. And chitta itself cannot arise on its own. It has to come with mental factors. Okay. Right. So chitta, my understanding is just know when there is contact with the object.
No, contact is actually done by phasa. So it actually, it's just a bare cognition of the it only takes the object. That's the function of chitta.
So can we call chitta actually knows? Can we call chitta as knowing function? Citta just know? No, we don't call
Bare
citta as
cognition. Yeah.
just bare cognition.
It only bends towards the object. That's why it bends towards the object.
No wonder I keep hearing this sati, right? Interchangeably referred to as mindfulness, awareness, or knowing, knows. So, okay, so my understanding of citta is not correct. That's why I'm confused when the word knows is being used, you see, when it's referring to sati.
Yeah, most of the time we, in terms of practice, very seldomly do we talk about citta alone, because citta as this function alone, it cannot arise alone. No? So only when we are doing a little bit more deeper analytical study, then we know, oh, the function of citta is this, the function of the sati is this, function of phassa is this, function of other cettasika is what. So then we know that there is a difference there. But when we talk about practice, that knowing or that mindful or that observing, all those should be sati. Yeah. So when you are confused and go back to the Pali word, then we will assure what we are talking about. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so about Dui's question, he asked, then in the beginning of the chanting, the part of the quality of the Sangha, I understand four pairs of people correspond to the 4 stages of enlightenment, but why have 8 individuals? Okay, so here, again, we need a little bit of Abhidhamma knowledge. Do you know about Magga and Phala? The path consciousness and fruition consciousness. Okay, so I will explain it in this way. There are mental processes that is arising in the mind all the time. So different consciousness, different citta arise and passes away, arise and passes away, arise and passes away all the time. So billions of cittas, billions of consciousness arise and passes away every moment. So when we are looking or seeing something, there is a seeing process that arises in the mind. Yeah, so eye consciousness arise, and then we understand what it is, and then we like it, we don't like it, we react to it, right? So there is a mental process. Those are called mental process that are composed of different. The different cittas arise and passes and in a process. Yeah. So when a person gets enlightened, there is also an enlightenment process. So in the mind, something happened in the mind for the enlightened person, right? So there is one citta that is called path consciousness, and that citta is called Magga in Pali, no? Magga. So path consciousness, that consciousness arise, and immediately after that consciousness, a fruition consciousness arise. That's called Phala, Magga and Phala. So after these two consciousness, after this process, that person become an enlightened person. So in the mind, when Magga arise, Magga eradicate some kinds of defilements. So therefore, the person become purified, right? And become an enlightened person. Yeah. So this Magga citta arise, and after that, Phala citta will arise. So the 4 types of person, that there are 4 stages of enlightenment, right? So there is a mental process for the first stage. Then later on, there is when the person practice more, then there is a process for the second stage. Then there is a process for the third stage, a process for the last stage, right? So therefore, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 types of path consciousness and 4 types of fruition consciousness. Yeah, okay. So when a person who attained the first path consciousness, then we call that person a Maggata person. Let's say for Sotapaddi Maggata, the person who has attained the path of the first stage of enlightenment, stream entry. So that is one person. Then in the next moment, this person will become a person who has attained the fruition of the stream entry. So that's the second individual. Yeah. And then in the second stage of enlightenment, then the person, the third person, the third individual is the one who has attained the path consciousness of the once returner. And then the fourth person is the person who has attained the fruition of the once returner. Okay. Then the fifth person is the person who has attained the path of the non-returner, and then the fruition of the non-returner. Then the seventh person is the person who has attained the path of arahaship and the fruit of arahaship, right? Now, so that therefore there are 8 persons there. Yeah. So you may say that a person who attained Magga, the path, in the next moment, immediately he or she will attain fruit. So that path person only exists for one moment. Then why do we even mention them? That, right? Because in the next moment they already become path person. Now they're fully, enlightened. So why is it being mentioned? So I'll explain also. That is because in the Abhidhamma, everything is being explained very detailedly. When we talk about the 31 plane of existence, sometimes we talk about what kind of person can arise in which realm. Right? So when we talk about that, then maybe you have heard about it, for those persons who have attained jhana, arupa jhana, immaterial absorption in immaterial jhana, for them, they will be reborn in their next life into the immaterial world, right? So that means those beings have only mind, they have no body there. Okay, so for this kind of beings, if they have not attained enlightenment yet, in those realms, it is not possible to attain the first stage of enlightenment, because they will not be able to listen to the Dhamma or to learn it from anyone, because they don't have a body, so no eye to read, no ear to hear the Dhamma. Yeah. So for those cases, this is to specify which type of person can be found in which realm. Okay, so for arupa realm, Sotapati Magata person, a person who has attained the path consciousness of the first stage of enlightenment, cannot appear in the arupa realm, because they cannot get a first stage of enlightenment in the immaterial world. That is not possible. But if a person, as a human being, already got the first stage of enlightenment, so that means he or she become the person, the phala person of stream entry, no? So that is possible to be in the immaterial realm, because once they have already attained the first stage of enlightenment, if they are reborn into the immaterial realm, they already know the way, they can continue practicing. So therefore, because of these details, then it is explained about the 8 type of person, even if they only exist for one moment, for the path person. Well, I think it's a little bit complicated, maybe, but if you know Abhidhamma, then that will make sense. Everything will make sense. But why all this? Is that okay?
Thank you very much, very much. I got the idea. Thank you very much.
That's good. Okay. All right. Okay. So if you are interested to know more, as you see, the Abhidhamma is like medical study. So if you are interested about mind and matter, about the details about these 5 aggregates, about this mind and matter, if you're interested, then the Abhidhamma is very, very interesting. For myself, I have never ever studied anything more interesting than the Abhidhamma in my life. And with the Abhidhamma knowledge, it will be very helpful for understanding of the suttas, even of the chanting or recollection of the Sangha. Without that knowledge, how can we know which 4 person, which 8 person? How come there is 8 person? Which 8 person are they referring to? Why 8? Right? So because of this knowledge, then we come to understand things that we come across day by day, even the chanting or even the sutta and these things. So in order to understand these things deeply, the Abhidhamma knowledge, it's very helpful. So if you're interested, I encourage you to take a look. You can find material on the Anatomy of the Mind channel, and then from the very beginning, session 1 and go on. Yeah, I encourage you to start from the beginning. Because sometimes we're interested in this, I watch this video, I'm interested in that, I watch that video, we jump here and there, and sometimes we get confused because for Abhidhamma study, information builds up. So you need the information from the beginning in order to understand the next part, So it is a long study, but with patience from the very beginning, then we will gain a lot of knowledge for further understanding of the suttas and of the Buddha's teaching. It's very helpful.
Definitely, I will take a look. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so let's go back to the factors of enlightenment. Is everyone still okay? Tired? All good? A little bit more? Okay, so all right. So let's go to the fourth factors of enlightenment. Okay, so here it is piti Saṁbojjhaṅga. Piti, enlightenment, factor of rapture. So first, again, we need to know whether it's present or not, and the reason for its arising is yoniso manasikara, wise attention, and the reason for it to come to perfection is the attainment of arahantship. So piti Saṁbojjhaṅga, let's look at it. This word piti is usually translated as joy or happiness, zest, rapture, or sometimes also translated as pleasurable interest. Now for piti, for this joy to be a Saṁbojjhaṅga, a factor of enlightenment, it must be the factor that arises during vipassana meditation. No? So it is a joy in regard to the Dhamma, the joy or the pleasurable interest to the Dhamma. It is also one of the jhana factors, vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. So one of that, piti, this pleasurable interest, it means that the mind is being joyful and happy with the meditation object. It is taking an interest in the object. Therefore, the mind is joyful because it's understanding it. It's understanding the Dhamma. So not joy because because of entertainment of other things. No? So it must be related to vipassana meditation. Now this piti, it is itself is a cetasika. So it is not Vedana. It is not a mental feeling. It is a little bit different from it. So it is the interest, a very pleasant, joyful interest towards the object. Okay, so let's take a look at the 4 devices. For the characteristic, it is endearing the associated mental state. So when there is piti, when there is joy or pleasurable interest, the mind is happy. The mind is being joyful and elated. And then its function is to refresh the mind and the body. And then its manifestation is elation. So the mind feels very light, it's being refreshed, and then it feels like it is like rising and floating like that. It is its manifestation, and its proximate cause is mind and body itself, nama and rupa. So it is said that there are 5 kinds of different piti, pleasurable interest during meditation. So let's take a look of it. Now the first one is called minor piti, so small one, minor. How does it manifest? It is said that it is like a goosebump in the body. So when we experience this kind of minor piti during meditation, then practitioners will sometimes feel like goosebump or the hair stands on the end. So this is the manifestation of this kind of first kind of piti. And the second one is called momentary piti. It appears like a flash of lightning. So the meditators may experience this kind of a kind of joy, like a flash of lightning in their body once in a while. So and then they will feel very good and like a coolness in the body. So this is a second type. And then the third type is like a wave-like piti. It comes all over the body again and again, like the waves in the seashore. And then the fourth kind is called an uplifting piti. So it elevates the body and can even make it like wanting to jump, like the body is very, very light. So there are stories of meditators who levitate, and then those levitation is caused by this kind of joy, this kind of piti. And when practitioners in our days experience this kind of joy, it is said that their body may lift up a little bit or move a little bit. Without disturbing their posture, but just a tiny bit. Sometimes they may even feel like they are lifted up in the air or like they are sitting on an air cushion like that. So this is the manifestation of uplifting piti. And then the fifth kind is called pervading piti. It completely pervades the whole body. So it is compared to oil pervading a piece of cotton. When it arises in the meditator, their whole body is, so to say, is soaked with this kind of joy, this kind of piti. So it is said that meditators will experience one kind or two or three or four or maybe all 4 or 5 kinds of this joy during the course of their meditation. Now, Mahasi Sayadaw described piti in his book, The Progress of Insight, in page 13. He states, there arises also rapture, piti, in its 5 grades, beginning with minor rapture, when purification of mind is gained, that is concentration, that is one stage of vipassana purification of the mind, that means when the mind already gained concentration, that rapture begins to appear by causing goose flesh, tremors in the limbs, etc. And now it produces a sublime feeling of happiness and exhilaration, filling the whole body with an exceedingly sweet and subtle thrill. Under its influence, he feels as if the whole body has risen up and remained in the air without touching the ground, or as if it were seated on an air cushion, or as if it were floating up and down. So Mahasi Sayadaw also explained these 5 degrees of different kind of joy, how it manifests in the meditators. Okay, again, it is said that there are 11 practices that will lead to the arising of joy. So let's see what is it. Now, the first one is the reflecting on the qualities of the Buddha. Just like what we did in the very beginning, we remember Itipiso Bhagawa Arahan Sammasambuddho, Vichacharana Sampano Sukhato Lokavidu. We remember the good qualities of the Buddha. So it is said that piti can be developed when we reflect on the good quality that the Buddha it's the knower of the world, is the great teacher of devas and humans, etc. And also, the reflection on the qualities of the Dhamma will also bring joy to the mind, as well as the reflection of the qualities of the Sangha. So these 3 is actually 3 types of meditation, also recollection of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. So this will also gladden the mind. And the 4th one is the reflection on one's own pure sila. When we keep our sila, morality, pure, and we reflect on it, and we see that our sila is not broken in any place, and with that, we will get joy because we know that we have been doing well. And so, as a layperson or as a monastic, when we reflect on our pure sila, that will also give us joy. The 5th one is reflecting on one's own generosity. Now we get joy by recollecting the acts of generosity, or the donations, or the help that we have given to others. That will also make us happy. And the 6th one is reflecting on the devas. Now here, it actually means recollecting not on the devas themselves, but on one's own good quality, because devas are born into the deva realms because of good qualities such as wholesome qualities such as kindness, generosity, good morality, and their knowledge. So these good qualities, we reflect that just as the devas, I also have this kind of good quality. So we rejoice in these good qualities also in me. So by this reflection, will get joy. So this reflecting on the devas actually means on the good qualities that the devas were born into the deva realm, and these qualities are also present in us. Then the seventh one is reflecting on peace, which is actually nibbana. Now we may say we have not attained nibbana. How do we know? How can we reflect on nibbana? No, so it is actually here. It does not mean seeing nibbana directly as the object, but to contemplate on the peacefulness or the peaceful attributes of nibbana, like thinking that nibbana is peaceful, it is calm, there is no more defilement, it is unconditioned. It means the termination of the rounds of rebirth. It is the destruction of craving, and how peaceful it will be when there is no more defilements. No, so by this kind of reflection on the peace of nibbana, the mind will also become joyful. And the eighth one is avoiding coarse people. So we can develop pity by avoiding people who are rough and coarse in their action, and instead associating with refined people. Refined people means like refined in their attitudes and actions. Those who have confidence in the truth, in the Dhamma, and whose mind are gentle. So this will also bring us joy. And the 10th is reflecting on discourses that inspire confidence. Now, when we read or when we remember the teachings, the discourses, then sometimes it will also help us build joy, right? By reflecting on them, we will develop this kind of more confidence in the Buddha, in the teaching, and become joyful. And the last one is inclining towards piti. So as we said, when we incline the mind towards something, then it is always helpful for those qualities to have more possibility to arise. So that is the 11 practices that lead to the arising of joy. Okay, about piti Saṁbojjhaṅga, all good? No question? Okay, so let's go to the next one. Now, the next factor of enlightenment is tranquility, passaddhi Saṁbojjhaṅga. So let's see, what is it? Passaddhi, tranquility. Now, this passaddhi sometimes is also translated as calmness or sometimes tranquility. It occurs when feelings of tiredness or other unpleasant feelings subside without any special effort. So when meditators have reached a certain stage of mental stability or samadhi, concentration, then this passaddhi will be experienced. This tranquility is also a Saṁbojjhaṅga, factor of enlightenment when it arises in the person who is practicing vipassana. So let's take a look at the 4 devices of passaddhi. Now for passaddhi, it is actually a pair of cetasika. So it is called kaya passaddhi and chitta passaddhi. So here they actually refers to the tranquility of chitta and cettasika, both of them. Both. So it is a pair of the mental factors, beautiful mental factors that always arise together. And it is universal also. Whenever there is wholesome mind, this kind of tranquility will also arise. When we do good, when we have wholesome mind, wholesome mental states, that this tranquility is also there. Now, so this characteristic is quieting down of disturbance. So the mind is being tranquil, no disturbances such as stress, anxiety, tiredness, etc. No, and its function is to crush those disturbances, and its manifestation is peacefulness and coolness, and its proximate cause is chitta and cettasika itself. Now, when there is kaya passaddhi and chitta passaddhi, so tranquility, passaddhi in general, the mind will be very peaceful. There will be no war, like sometimes feels like the mind is having a war, no, like many disturbances. But when there is passaddhi, when there's tranquility, the mind is as calm as a very still lake. They say that when there is mental tranquility, there is no restlessness or agitation. We experience a cool state of mind without any attachment or aversion to the object we are experiencing. So it arises together with wholesome mind. So there is no attachment, no aversion. The mind is feeling calm and cool and tranquil. So that is passaddhi. And if this kind of state arises during meditation, vipassana meditation, it is also contributing to the attainment of enlightenment, and it can be a factor of enlightenment, of tranquility. Okay, so there are again 7 practices that will lead to the arising of passaddhi, of tranquility. The first one is resorting to suitable food. So suitable food means something that is sufficient to satisfy and to nourish us. So not like gourmet, but not like very poor meals also. So something that is healthy and that will nourish us. And the second one is resorting to comfortable weather. So when the weather is comfortable, it allows us to practice meditation in tranquility. And the third one is resorting to a comfortable posture. So assuming a stable and comfortable posture, it will help us to be more tranquil without too much discomfort. No? So choosing a good posture for practice is also important. Now, Sayadaw Usilananda, he explains that this does not mean that meditators should be fussy about food or weather or posture, because dedicated meditators will bear with any inconvenience in practice. The commentator said, "But he who has the nature of a good man is patient about all kinds of weather and postures." So that means that this kind of conditions, having good food, having good weather, and having good posture, they are very helpful because they bring stability and well-being of the mind by way of being a good basis for the body's well-being. No? So they are helpful, but it is not a must. So in any circumstances, we can practice to train the mind to be tranquil. But it is said that these 3 is helpful. Okay, so let's see what other practices will help. And okay, the 4th one is reflecting that beings have karma as their property. That means understanding that the suffering and happiness are result of one's own karma. That means when we see other people being happy or when we see other people suffering, we know that that is due to the karma that we all have accumulated in our past. So by reflecting in this way, meditators will develop tranquility. And the 5th one is avoiding physically restless people. It is said that people who are constantly restless in the body, they are also restless in the mind. So it is just the opposite of tranquility. So if we want to have tranquility in the mind, then we should associate with people who are calm. So Sayadaw Silananda, he said that those people who are restrained of hand and foot, restrained of the body, are also restrained in their actions. So they are more calm, and so therefore associating with this kind of people will help the development of more tranquility. And the last one is inclining towards calmness. So when we put the mind towards that direction, then it will be helpful for the attainment of these desired qualities. Okay, so that was about tranquility. All good? Yes? Okay, so let's go to the next one, number 6. We have 2 more to go. So the next one is the enlightenment factor of concentration, Samadhi Saṁbojjhaṅga. Let's go directly. Now, during vipassana meditation, when one experiences real Samadhi Saṁbojjhaṅga, that means the enlightenment factor of concentration, then there are no mental hindrances. When mental hindrances subside, then only then samadhi or concentration or stability of mind can arise, right? So the mind is just on the object. It is not distracted by other object. and the mind keeps just taking on this object and observing it again and again, and penetrating the true nature of this thing, of this object. Let's take a look at the 4 devices. In ultimate reality, samadhi is actually ekaggata, one-pointedness. So when one-pointedness is associated with wholesome mind, with the mind that is doing vipassana meditation, and it becomes concentrated and becomes stable, then we call that samadhi. But in ultimate reality, it is the ekaggata, one-pointedness, cetasika. So its characteristic is the non-wandering or non-distraction by other object. And its function is to unite all the other associated states. So it concentrates and it makes everybody stable. It unites everyone. It is compared to water, which keeps together the grains of flour. Like when we make a dough, we have flour and then we add water to it and knead it and becomes a dough. So water holds everything together. So just like that, samadhi, or this concentration, stability of mind, unite all the associated states. And its manifestation is stillness. So it is compared to a flame in a place where there is no wind. So it's very still, very quiet, very still, very concentrated. And its proximate cause is happiness that is originated from non-attachment to sensual pleasure. So when the mind is not disturbed by the sense desire, by the hindrances, then the mind becomes happy. Then with this happiness, then this concentration or stability of mind can be built. Okay, so again, there are some kind of practices that contribute to samadhi, to stability of mind. Let's see what they are. The first one is the purification of the bases, as we have seen previously, so we'll not repeat it. That is to keeping the body and our environment clean and tidy. That will be helpful for concentration. And the second one is, again, the balancing of the faculties, so keeping the 5 indriyas in balance. And then number 3 is skill in the sign. This one is a bit more for like samatha meditation, because this sign means like meditating on the kasina object, the kasina sign, earth disk, water disk, and so on, and other signs that will cause the arising of jhana, right? So if someone is practicing first jhana and build up concentration, or practicing samatha meditation to build up a certain degree of stability of mind and then change to vipassana, then this skill in the sign will be very helpful. And the fourth one is called inciting the mind. So when the mind is sluggish due to lack of energy, then it should be incited or encouraged by bringing up the enlightenment factor of the Dhamma vichaya, such as the investigation of the Dhamma, or viriya, effort, or piti. So if the mind is very sleepy, lazy, then at that time we have to wake it up. So how to wake it up? Then we bring up some interest to the Dhamma. We investigate, or we put in a little bit more effort, or we practice, or we will reflect on the Buddha or the Dhamma or the Sangha, or generosity, etc., like what we have seen previously, to arouse some joy, so the mind will wake up. So this is called inciting the mind. But if the mind, or when the mind becomes too active, like if we are doing a lot of investigation, too much effort, or like a lot of joy, then the mind becomes like super active. And then at that time, again, we need to calm it down with the other factors, so such as the tranquility and concentration and upekkha also. That means the equanimity. Later we will look at it. This last factor actually. So these 7 factors are actually, they also balance each other, just like the 5 hindrances. The 5 spiritual faculties, not 5 indriyas. They also, like in the same way, they balance each other. So they have 2 groups. One group it's active group, the investigation, joy, and effort, and the peaceful group, the tranquility, the equanimity, and the samadhi, and the concentration. So we have to balance it. Okay, so this is the fifth way that leads to concentration, restraining the mind when it is too active. And then the sixth one is gladdening the mind. When meditators cannot get concentration because of weak application of wisdom or non-attainment of peacefulness, then they tend to become discouraged. So at this time, we can gladden the mind, for example, by contemplating on the qualities of the Buddha, or by doing some metta meditation, loving kindness meditation, and make the mind happy. Because this happiness, it's also the proximate cause for concentration to arise, right? So gladdening the mind is helpful also. Then we have number 7, reflecting with equanimity. Now that means when meditation is going well, when meditators do not experience sloth and torpor or restlessness and discouragement, then they should not disturb their meditation by inciting or restraining or gladdening the mind, because it's going well. So just leave it as it is. So they should just continue to practice with equanimity, like a charioteer looking forward without interfering when the horses are running well. So this is also important. When we know that it's going well, so just don't do anything to unbalance it. So just keep it that way. So that's the number 7. And number 8 is avoiding people who do not have a collected mind. So that means people who are distracted or lack concentration, and instead associate with people whose mind is collected. So actually, this might be associating with people whose mind is collected. Strictly speaking, those are people that have access concentration or absorption concentration, so very high level of samadhi. Okay. And then number 10 is, again, inclining the mind towards concentration. We bring the mind, remind the mind towards this kind of quality, directing the mind to that direction. And number 11 is reflection on the jhana. For those who have jhana, and they if they want to concentrate the mind, they can reflect on the jhana. So all jhana is developed this way, should be entered into this way, how jhana is being practiced, and etc. So reflecting on the jhana, but this is for those who have jhana. So those are the 11 practices leading to the arising of concentration. Okay, so we have one more factor to go, although it's almost time, but let's go through, right? It's just one more, okay? Yeah, so we might, it might be a few minutes past the usual time, but let's go through it. Okay, so the last factor is Upekkha Saṁbojjhaṅga, enlightenment factor of equanimity. So first we know whether there is equanimity or not, and also the reason why it arises. That's because of Yoniso Manasikara, again, wise attention, and it comes to perfection when we attain arahantship. Now, upekkha, this word, upekkha Saṁbojjhaṅga, upekkha, this word, you may have heard this Pali word upekkha in the neutral mental feeling, right? Now, but here, it is actually a different cetasika. So, upekkha in the mental neutral feeling, that is actually, in ultimate reality, Vedana, no? Those that experience the object, right? But here, upekkha, it means mental neutrality or equanimity. In ultimate reality, it is the cetasika called tatra majjhatthata. That means staying in the middle, literally, but being in the middle, not falling to one side or the other side. So this tatra majjhatthata cetasika, it's also a beautiful cetasika, arise with wholesome minds. It has the quality of impartiality, the middleness, and equanimity. So I know some of you have joined the 10-day Vipassana courses of Goenkaji, no? So when he says equanimity or being equanimous, that is actually this tatra majjhatthata, not the mental neutral feeling. This equanimous is being impartial, and it associates with a wholesome mind. So here it's important to know that does not mean the mental feeling, neutrality or indifference, but instead it is a mental attitude of balance, of detachment and impartiality. And when it arises during Vipassana meditation, then it's supportive for the attainment of enlightenment. It is called Upekkha Saṁbojjhaṅga. Okay, so let's take a look at the 4 devices of Upekkha Saṁbojjhaṅga, this Tattramajjhattata, actually, equanimity. Its characteristic is conveying citta and cetasika evenly. So these mental factors keep citta and cetasika, so consciousness and mental factors, it keeps it evenly and makes it go smoothly. So it kind of not one over the other, but having them evenly. So it is characteristic as like that. And its function is to prevent deficiency and excess, or to prevent partiality. So it's like a supervisor, no? Or it is compared to a charioteer. A charioteer is the driver of the cart, drawn by, let's say, 3 or 4 horses. So when the horse are running evenly, the driver does not have to make much effort to keep the chariot going. So when under its regulation, so the consciousness and mental factors, they will run very smoothly. It will function very properly. It is a time of neutrality. So Tattramajjhattata is like the driver of the charioteer when the horses are going very smoothly. It makes them go very smoothly. Now, its manifestation is neutrality and looking on with equanimity. Sayadaw Usilananda sometimes compare this manifestation of function of Tattramajjhattata to the cruise control in the car. So when you put the cruise control on the car, then you don't have to make any effort for the car to go. So you just watch that it is going in balance, and then you just sit there and enjoy the ride, right? So it is something similar like that. And its proximate cause here is the other mental factors that accompany it. So because it make them in balance, no? So without excess or without being partial. So therefore, the proximate causes are those mental factors that arise together. Okay, so there are 5 practices that leads to the arising of this equanimity. The first one is detached and a detached attitude towards beings. That means when we are attached or being partial to some people or some persons, then we do not have equanimity. And to develop equanimity, we need to develop the kind of a detached attitude by reflecting that everyone has karma as their own possession. So I'm reborn here on account of my own karma, which I have accumulated in the past. And I will depart here on account of my own karma. And so who am I to attach to? So reflecting on this way, it will help us to develop equanimity. Or we can also reflect in the ultimate reality sense. In reality, there is no being there. No being exists. Only mind and matter is there. So what am I attaching to? No. So in this way, also, it will bring equanimity. The next one is a detached attitude towards things. So when we realize that we are attached to things, then we can also develop equanimity by reflecting that all these things is going to get old, is going to decay, and it cannot last, and it will go in a very short time. So reflecting the temporariness, or what Sayadaw call it, ownerlessness of things, then we developed a detached attitude towards things that will also contribute to equanimity. And the third one is, it says, avoiding people who are egoistic towards other living beings. Now, the explanation given here is those kind of people who cherish their sons and daughters and so on, and that they are so attached to them that they attend to their needs and cannot let them do anything. They do everything for them. So when somebody comes and asks them, oh, can I ask the help of your son to do some work? And then they will say that though they are not made to even do their own work, how can they help you do your work? No. So the people who are egoistic in this way to be avoided, it is said. And also avoiding people who are egoistic with regard to things. So those are the people that say if you ask them to borrow something, then they will think that I myself do not use it. How can I lend it to you? No, so these people are also to be avoided. And the fifth one, which is the last, is the inclination towards equanimity itself. Again, we bring the mind, direct the mind to that direction. Whatever posture, whatever we are doing, then we incline the mind towards equanimity, then it will be helpful to achieve this quality. Okay, so that was the 5 practices that help the arising of upekkha. And with this, we have completed the 7 factors of enlightenment. And so meditators, when practicing Dhammanupassana, contemplation on the Dhamma, on the 7 factors of enlightenment, knows when these factors are present or when these factors are not present, and also knows the causes of the arising of these factors, and also how are they brought to perfection. Then the sutta continues, just like always, iti ajatamwa. So the meditators contemplate in this way about these factors internally in oneself, externally in others, and both internally and externally. So again, starting from these enlightenment factors, but again, for it to be vipassana, we must go to nama and rupa, no? So always we have to go back to observing mind and matter, and understanding that there is only mind and matter, no person there. So meditators also come to see the origination factors of mind and matter, and come to understand the dependent origination in the normal order and the reverse order. And then in this way, the meditators will proceed to the contemplation of anicca, dukkha, and anatta, the 3 universal characteristics of mind and matter, and will be able to see the arising and fading away of whatever they are experiencing, mind or matter, and then slowly they will reach higher and higher stage of vipassana wisdom until the level of arahantship. So there will be no more wrong view and clinging to the 5 aggregates of clinging. So this is how a meditator contemplate the Dhamma in the Dhammas in the 7 factors of enlightenment. All right, so until here, we have officially finished the section of the 7 factors of enlightenment. So next week, we will start with the 4 noble truths, and which is actually the last section of the contemplation of the Dhamma. But I think the 4 noble truths is a little bit longer, so we might take 1 or 2 sessions to complete it, and we will see how it goes. Yes, Zhenan.
Yeah, from this section, the concentration or samadhi is quite important for achieve the enlightenment. So I heard you mentioned the concentration is related to one-pointedness, and I also have some understanding that. Okay.
Yes, continue first.
Some understanding that how we can achieve the concentration is through the concentrate, or I can understand is attention. Keep repeating attention to single object or different kind of object. So like Lompo Pamov mentioned, actually concentrations actually have many types, and he described in 3 types. As one type is you have mentioned is momentary what you call that, momentary samadhi concentration, or the other one is slightly longer, and third one is something like resting. It can build up our energy, and I believe there is another type is kind of wrong practice of samadhi, going to a very deep concentration, or maybe it couldn't I don't know, maybe couldn't associate with the wisdom or awareness. So I need your explanations, how come it how it will become a different type of samadhi in aspect of like mental factors or different aspect. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, in the beginning of your question, you said that I mentioned that samadhi is related to one-pointedness, right? Now, in ultimate reality, samadhi is one-pointedness. It is not related to one-pointedness. It is one-pointedness, cetasika. So ekagata cetasika, samadhi is ekagata cetasika. Now, it is called one-pointedness because we have to see, we are talking about mind moment, so very short moment, yeah? So at this moment, the mind has this one-pointedness towards its own object. At this moment, it arises together, it arises, take the object, passes away. Another mind arises, take the object, passes away. Okay, so one-pointedness means it is concentrated on the object that it is looking at the moment. Okay. So that is one-pointedness. And when this one-pointedness moment to moment developed through a long time, that is called what we call like the concentration or samadhi. Okay? Yeah? That's all the stability of mind, or if we prefer this word. Yeah? Okay, so that is samadhi. So one-pointedness, don't think that one-pointedness here means only looking at one object and nothing else. Not that meaning. One object in the moment all the time. So it can be one object, same object for a long time, or it can be different object in a long time. Okay, but there is concentration, or the mind is taking the object, right? Not leaving the object. Okay, so that is the ekagata that we are talking about, the one-pointedness. Okay, so now when you mentioned about different kinds of samadhi, there are one-pointedness, this cetasika, this mental factor, as you said, it can actually associate with unwholesome mind as well. Because when we do something bad, we also need concentration. Where if a robber or some cyber hacker, they want to do something in the computer, they must be very concentrated. Yeah, they must be very concentrated on what they are doing. So this ekagata is actually a ethically variable mental factor. So if it associates with a wholesome mind, then it's concentrating on something wholesome. If it's associated with an unwholesome mind, it's concentrated in doing something bad. Okay, so it depends on what other cetasika they are associating with. If it is associated with wisdom, perfect. And those are the ones that we need for vipassana meditation to understand the truth. Because without concentration, we cannot look at the object and understand it properly. If the mind is jumping here and there. Yeah, so that concentration for understanding the reality is necessary. So concentration is very important. Yeah. So we have different kind of concentration. One type is developed through samatha meditation. So that is one-pointedness meditation, sometimes we call, or focusing on one object. So let's say we take anapana object. So just the concept of the in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath, and concentrate the mind. And that kind of concentration, if it is developed to a very high level with samatha meditation, it can reach access concentration or absorption concentration. So that is jhana, the achievement of jhana. Okay, so if a person wants to attain jhana, then they can practice one-pointedness meditation or samatha meditation in this way to attain the absorption, jhana meditation, jhana. And if a person wants to practice vipassana directly without practicing jhana first, then what they need is a momentary concentration, which is in Pali called kanika samadhi. So this momentary does not mean that it arises only one moment and it's gone. Not like that momentary, but it means moment to moment. Every moment it is concentrated on whatever object, mind or matter, nama or rupa, that the vipassana meditation we are taking as object, mind and matter. So moment to moment, the mind is concentrated on the object that it is observing. that is momentary concentration. And this momentary concentration should be as strong as those excess concentration in order for it to be, for one to penetrate the truth, no? To understand Nama and Rupa, its ultimate reality, no? So therefore, in order for any kind of real stability of mind to arise, the 5 hindrances must be reduced or must be suppressed, let's say. So we have to practice observing, and then when the mind is really, really calm, without the 5 hindrances, then there is possibility for higher wisdom, higher understanding to arise. So that kind of samadhi for enlightenment.
So this type of samadhi concentration, it doesn't fix to jhana concentration.
No, because they are different. Objects are different. For samatha meditation, the object is always a concept most of the time, unless there are 2 very high level of jhana, then there is there is an object for the mind also, but never mind about that at the moment. So usually samatha meditation that is focusing on concept, but for vipassana, this samadhi is focusing on nama and rupa, mind and matter. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, Ada and Kate.
Hi, Heidi. Thank you for all your teaching today. I would like to ask you to please sort of clarify my understanding about piti and upekkha, because it seems to me on some level that there's a tension between being neutral and experiencing joy. Those seem to me on one level like very different states. So is my understanding correct that we are to experience piti arising when the mind is on wholesome things, and we are to experience upekkha toward conditioned things? Is that somewhat correct, please?
Toward conditioned things. I'm not sure if I understand properly, like the last part of your question, that joy is to be. Can you explain that again?
So with joy, the joy that we feel comes when our mind makes contact with wholesome states in meditation, sort of how I understand that. But we're trying to be neutral, not toward, say, the attainment of nibbana, but we're trying to be neutral toward things in the conditioned realm, you know, sort of neutral toward things that might otherwise be objects of craving or objects of aversion. Because if I'm feeling joy towards something, I'm not feeling neutral about it. Does that make sense?
Okay. Now, today we are talking about the 7 factors of enlightenment, right? So all these 7 factors, they are factors that are helpful for enlightenment. So in order for them to be called Saṁbojjhaṅga, they must be arising during vipassana meditation. So the object of vipassana meditation is mind and matter itself. No, it can be mind, it can be matter. So the joy that arises here is the joy that arises when we have understanding. It's the joy that is a pleasurable interest. The mind is interested in what we are doing. So it's not a joy, that kind of joy that we are having a party, we are very joyful, we are very happy, like not that kind of joy, or but the joy of understanding, of the joy of the is like an interest. Therefore, it is also translated as pleasurable interest. So you feel good when you are interested in something. You are like, I want to see, I want to know. Yeah. So that kind of interest towards what we are doing, the meditation object. Now, this equanimity, that means that that we are not being partial towards what we are looking at. Because sometimes when we see suffering, then we feel like our beings are suffering, and you know. So therefore, it says that we have to have a detached attitude towards what we are looking at. So we understand with wisdom, we understand that beings are suffering or being happy because of their own karma. Yeah. So this actually, it does not crashed with the pleasurable interest at all, because I can be very interestedly looking at things with an equanimous mind. Yeah. Yeah. So these seven Bojjhaṅga, as we saw just very briefly, they are also separated into two groups: the active group and the more passive group. No, so the active one are the investigation, the pleasurable interest, and the effort. So when we apply these factors, the mind is very active. So when it is too active, then we need to balance it with the other group, which is the tranquility, the equanimity, and what was the other one? And samadhi, and the concentration. And so if the mind is getting very calm, getting sleepy, then we have to wake it up with the other ones. So they are balancing each other and helping the whole process. So they work together. Therefore, they are called the factors of enlightenment. So those factors that are helpful or instrumental for the achievement of enlightenment.
Thank you. I think I understand better now. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yes, Sita.
Is there a similarity between Saṁbojjhaṅga and Kanika?
Saṁbojjhaṅga, clear comprehension, and Kanika samadhi. When we are being mindful, when there is sati, when we are being mindful together with clear comprehension, so there is wisdom also. We are knowing that whether the thing is beneficial, whether it is suitable. We are with the four foundation of mindfulness. We are understanding that things according to its own nature, anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So that saṁbojjhaṅga is actually wisdom, right? So when there is effort together with mindfulness, then concentration is being built. So sati plus effort, sati and viriya, becomes the kanika samadhi, becomes samadhi. And this samadhi supports the arising of the clear comprehension or wisdom.
Okay. And Saṁbojjhaṅga is also every moment to moment full concentration. And Kanika is also moment to moment concentration, yes?
No, it is a little bit different. Kanika samadhi is moment to moment concentration, which its function is to keep the mind on the object, right? Now, clear comprehension, its function is to understand the object.
Okay.
Yes?
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Anyone else? All good? Okay. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. And so let's close by dedicating our effort for the attainment of Nibbana, and also we share merits with all beings. So let's recite together. Itam no punyam Nibbanasa pachayo hotu. Itam no punyam Nibbanasa pachayo hotu. Itam no punyam Nibbanasa pachayo hotu. Itam no punyam savasatanam bhajima. Itam no punyam savasatanam bhajima. Itam no punyam savasatanam bhajima. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Welcome. See you next week.
Thank you. Wishing you happy Vesak.
Happy Wesak to everyone. Have a very peaceful one.
Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Happy Vesak,
Thank
everyone.
you, everyone. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.